Thank you very much. Well, victorious in Krakow over Splyce, victorious and undefeated in the European LCS, and they still are. G2 closes it out with a 2-1 over Splyce. And when we look at Game 3 to close that one out, again, a lot of action in the early game and Splyce turning up.
Splyce once again looking very promising. I like the shift in mentality, where they're looking for a lot more early game plays, they're looking for a lot more early game pressure, and while it was a little bit even, they had some great map movements, they got an early game lead. Splyce looking like a great team.
And I think it's not just looking for the early game plays, also actually being able to execute them. Obviously in Game 2, it backfired. G2 punished them super hard, but in Game 1 and Game 3, it looked very good. But then I also think we just have to look at G2 as a team. It shows what kind of top team you are when you can lose the first game pretty convincingly, and then you just bounce back, stomp in the second game, and then in the third game here was a tough one, but they managed to outplay them anyway, really showing some really good plays.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at one of those examples, executing their team comp for G2 as it was intended.
So G2 realized that the comp of Splyce is going to make things difficult if they keep setting up this 1-3-1. Now, just keep your eyes on Zed in the river, because the thing I want to highlight with this play is the fantastic communication that is coming out from G2, because while the play was happening...
It was
cool,
so
man. It looks like you, man.
That's something
Okay. What did he do? Tell me what Zed did.
Zed was running. He was jogging through the river, right? He was on his way.
You don't run like this.
Because what Zed needed was a lead, right? The issue that Splyce had, or that G2 had, was that this 1-3-1 composition, no one could go against these side lanes unless the Zed had the lead, right? So we're going to try round 2, and this time you'll get to see why G2 needed to force this play. And the thing I wanted to highlight was the fantastic communication, because once the TP was coming out from Expect, Perkz was already moving from the bottom lane. He moved all the way across from one side of the map to the other to help to make this collapse happen and allow G2 to relieve some of the pressure that Splyce was exerting.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of game where you have to go back and kind of review it and really slow it down when G2 is moving between lanes. Because just to highlight your point, it was difficult to deal with the cannon in one lane and then the Jace in the other lane unless Zed was really strong. And he wasn't that strong early on. He didn't get off to a great start. He got there later. So what G2 did was whenever they got to push a lane, just past the river, they would leave the lane. They would then go towards the mid lane where Ziggs was sitting, or Karma, with Nautilus, with Zed, multiple times. And that's how they got all their kills, by constantly leaving the side lanes, go mid, and then say, you know what, we're not fed enough yet to sit and split push. We go mid, we kill the guys trying to wave clear over and over and over, and it got them so many kills.
Yes, it did. We're going to take a look at a couple of individual players. Before that, though, really quickly and briefly, yesterday, obviously, we saw some matches between some of the bottom tier teams, and it's easy to say this wasn't the highest level. Today, though, how high of a level of games were this?
I think these were very good games, very enjoyable games to watch. I think that what we're seeing a lot of is this shift from slow early games from some of the top teams into more proactivity during the early game. And we're also seeing good responses when putting down an early deficit. And two of the big facilitators in this were these two mid laners, because I think it's worth highlighting that while Perkz, he had a great Ahri game in Game 3, while his Zed went off to a rough start, he definitely was able to pull it back. And Senpai was doing a lot more work this game.
Yeah, I think Senpai was able to hold his own for all of it. When he fell behind in the second game, it was because of that invade, where it wasn't his call. He came in late, he died, Perkz got 2 kills on the Ahri, so it wasn't his fault at all. And he was one of the guys we were kind of being we want to see more from Senpai. You want to see him really evolve into a star player here in Europe, and we haven't really seen it yet. But he was holding his own in this one, which was very important for Splyce to make sure they didn't lose the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. And of all the players we looked at before the series, these two we had our eyes on. But one also really shown in this one, Sven, just doing what he does best, and then on Ezreal, just completely wrecking kids.
And it's great to see, because Sven was a player that at the very start of this series we were like, well, the bottom lane for G2 a potential weakness, while Sven has been very stable. Yeah, while Sven has been very stable, Mithy has had a couple of question marks, but now we're really seeing that if Sven is given a slight window of opportunity, he will take it, punish you, and build a massive lead.
Definitely. And speaking of Sven, QuickShot is with him and a support Mithy to find out more about that win.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, I am joined here by Sven and Mithy, the former best bot lane in the West. I'm going to ask about that in just a moment or two. Sven, player of the series, congratulations on Ezreal. What a time to be alive, is that right?
What do you mean by former? What is that supposed to mean?
We've been talking a lot about Sven and Mithy and how you guys used to really just dominate absolutely everybody. And something that we've noticed, besides Mithy dying a whole lot more in recent weeks, you guys aren't dominating EU as much anymore. Why do you think that is, Sven?
I think it's hard to win nowadays. When people get better, it's hard to stomp or be really far ahead, because the meta is also very anti-win meta, I think. But yeah, I agree with you that I think I don't feel as dominant anymore or as playmaking as I did before. I feel like the champs right now is not really my kind of style, and neither is for him. There's no more Kalista, no more Alistar, no more like champs with purpose, right? It's just pick Varus if you can, pick Jhin if you can't, pick Ezreal if you can. You know, it's yeah. But I agree with you there.
Then there's the boots for potions too, and the support's just basing in the middle of the lane and not caring, and then you can't really dive the other guy anyway. So yeah, people just like know how to lose now. So you can't really gain an advantage other than vision and pressure.
Mithy, knowing how to lose, is that something you've been learning this split? You've died almost as many times in the last 7 weeks as you did in the entire summer split. Is that a personal performance thing, or is it, you know, a bigger picture, teams getting better meta, etc.?
Definitely a personal thing.
Yes.
Okay, well, there we go.
It's like, so just to go further on that, usually when I, like, especially on Spring Split, I mean, I haven't really played many Spring Splits, right? But usually what I tend to do is I just like tend to focus on the macro part of things and not really think about myself individually and just like hope things get better through practice and through consistency. So yeah, hopefully by playoffs, like, I'm showing that I can get better and better. And
How do you guys get better? Now, this is not personally. How does G2 get better when, as an organization, the org hasn't been defeated, you know, on the EU LCS stage in nearly a year? You guys are, again, still undefeated. So, Sven, where do you learn? How do you improve when you are the top dog?
Well, you play scrims against other teams, you do things, and then you watch the VOD afterwards, after the game. It's called VOD review. And then you watch things, and you talk about the mistakes you made or the good plays you made, and why the good plays happened, and why the bad plays happened, and how to prevent them, and how to recreate the good ones. And this is how you improve. You talk about macro, then he says, I think you should move here. I think so too. And the next time in the same situation, you try it again. And it's all about, like, every situation has a variable, right? And you just try every situation, and then at some point you know everything. And that's when you're the best team.
But yeah, it's much harder to get better. Like, if you want to compete with teams that are like for example, when we went to IEM, it was like the teams were just like ahead in terms of like how they thought about the game. It wasn't really individually. It's just like macro-wise, maybe individually, but macro-wise they were much, much better. So there's so many things that maybe you don't think about, and the teams you play in your region don't really think about either. So you don't really get stuck, but you just like go in different paths that maybe are not the right paths. And then when you play against a team that like has the right way of playing or like the best way of playing at that time, then you have to like catch up to them, and then you can even be better than them, you know. But yeah, that's kind of the issue a bit.
It makes it difficult. You guys have mentioned, you know, scrimming, and we've seen now Splyce, probably one of their best performances all splits, a team that's been struggling. I'm going to look forward to playoffs, right? You guys are locked into playoffs already, you know, defending champions here in EU LCS. If you make the finals, which team is the most likely to make finals alongside you as well?
I think H2K for sure. That's also why I hope Unicorns loses today, because I would rather play against Unicorns in playoffs than H2K. I mean, in finals is a different thing, but I definitely think that H2K is the strongest team. We play against both in scrims and on stage. I think they're really good. They have like the macro department down, and they have good players in every role as well. So they don't have like a clear weakness or anything. So they're the best team.
We haven't really practiced much or played much against Misfits though. So it's hard to say like if Misfits is better or worse than H2K. But yeah, for sure, H2K from our experience.
All right, so H2K from your experience. We'll see Misfits play H2K tomorrow, so maybe we can answer one of those questions. Guys, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on being undefeated again.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, no worries. All right, we're going to head to an ad break. When we come back, it's Fnatic versus the Unicorns of Love. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Nice. He's staying around. Chain CC. Kavi's gonna grab that one. 6. I'm coming. On flank. Shaker. Nice. Oh no, Trashy. He's done. Take a seat. Pop.
Catch waves again and get tempo again, and now we can actually do it, okay? Now we rush it.
Going. Very good job, guys. Oh, good. Really good. Nice.
Nice.
G2 take game 3.